This is a Dude Studios production. And hey, I'm the dude.
Hey bartender, pass me a drink. A reason that I'm here is I need time to think. All the weight of the world.
You can still hear me?
I can still hear you, yeah.
Okay.
I'm using headphones, so I don't know if it's my Bluetooth headphones, maybe. Let me take those out.
No, I'm sure your headphones are just fine. Your signal's kind of going all over the place, but I think if you stay in one place, everything should be okay. Yeah, you got full bars now. So, all right. So, like I said, welcome to Hey Bartender podcast. We met on Instagram through a live or an Instagram live that I was doing, and before your signal dropped out, you were about to say that how you ran across Hey Bartender podcast.
No, yeah, I was thinking about that today. I don't know how I came across. I think I may have just been like searching hashtags, like for hashtags to use for my thing, and I think I may have just came across your page, and I just started checking it out, and I just hit the follow button, and then I subscribed to your podcast, to the actual podcast, to one of my podcast players, and just been listening.
Awesome. That's so cool. So, yeah, that's always so cool when I can actually interview somebody who's actually listened to the show. I love that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Chavo, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where are you from?
So I am from California, Central Valley, right smack in the middle of California. A lot of people refer to the armpit of California. It's right in the valley. So like when it gets hot, it does get hot. Of course, there's different types of heat. There's just as us California Central Valleyans are like, it's hot, but I mean, it's not like Texas hot or nothing like that. But nonetheless, it's hot to us, man.
Yeah. Well, out here in Texas, and since this year started, I mean, the weather's been incredibly schizophrenic. I mean, you probably heard on the news that we had that really bad cold snap where I'm at.
Yeah.
And but you look around now, it's like it never happened, and everything's back to normal. Sure, maybe a couple water pumps in various areas probably exploded, but do you guys get major cold snaps out where you're at?
It's cold for us. It's what we're used to, but I mean, we don't get snow or anything like that. We do get all four seasons. Some are short and sweet. Some are a little longer than what we like. But at the end of the day, man, we're never happy. When it's cold, we hate it, and when it's hot, we hate it. So it's just one of those things,
Yeah. So tell me about when did you start in the service industry?
Back in 94-ish, I started out, I would say 94, 95. Started out washing dishes. My dad's worked in the service industry since the 70s, and that was kind of my way into it. And I want to say I have 3 older brothers and a sister. So at one point in time, we've all worked in the restaurant industry. I still have one brother and a sister-in-law that are still in it. They work at a restaurant. But yeah, I started washing dishes, man, and then worked my way out to the front of the house, bussing tables, serving, bartending, and I just fell in love with bartending, and that's kind of where I stayed, and just kind of just like everybody else that's in it, or not everybody else, but a lot of people that have made careers out of it. I see my dad be successful serving tables and stuff for many, many years. He just retired probably about 4 years ago now.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, and I mean, he did it. He's a big inspiration for me, being in the business and in the industry, and just seeing him do it. I was like, all right, well, this is cool. And I hear you say it on your podcast a lot too, that the running saying of like the real job, like that 9 to 5, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just like, hey, like people are coming in paying with real money. I'm making real tips to pay my real bills. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like I've never understood or where that even came from, like the real job part, because we're doing just as much, if not more, of what somebody's going to be doing at a 9 to 5. You know.
Right. I mean, and we come home tired. We come home with a couple extra bucks in our pocket. We're still able to keep a roof over our head. You know, what's the difference? I mean,
Absolutely.
so what? We don't wear a suit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't answer phone calls, but I listen to people every day, all night, all day type of thing, you know?
Oh yeah. So you say you're a bartender, bartending's your thing. At the beginning of every show, I like to give a drink special to the audience. So give us a drink special if you would.
Yeah, man. So I have this really cool drink that I do. It's called the cucumber lemonade. So you're just going to slice up a cucumber, get 2 to 3 slices, toss them in your tin, add about 1.5 ounces of vodka, muddle it, add sweet and sour, shake, and then strain over ice, and then top off with just a splash of 7-Up. And it's a really good, refreshing drink in the spring and summertime. The key to it is you don't want to over pour it. You know, it's got to be that perfect blend, especially in like the summertime when it's nice and warm out. Because at the end of the day, it tastes just like a lemonade. You can not really taste the alcohol, but it's just one of those ones. After a couple of them, you're feeling good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying the trick is don't give them a heavy pour of vodka. The trick is just try to get the mixture just right. And
correct.
Now,
correct.
Does the cucumber flavor come through, or?
Yeah. And that's where the muddling comes in, you know. So I like to muddle, and then I shake over ice vigorously. Just give it a good hard shake, just to kind of break it up even more, and just to make sure that cucumber juice and some of that peel break off in the shake. So when you strain it, I don't do a double pour. I just, you know, or I'm sorry, I don't do a double strain. I just put my regular strainer on it and pour it so those little pieces come out. So when you're drinking out of a straw, or if you're sipping on it, you're getting those little pieces of that cucumber, that little hint of cucumber, and then like you chew on it and stuff, and then, you know, the flavor comes through even a little more that way.
Oh, that sounds awesome. All right. Anybody on that listens to Hey Bartender podcast, if you make that drink, let us know what your customers think about it, and I'd love to hear about it. Email me, dude, at heybartenderpodcast.com, or email Chavo here at uniquemobilebartending@gmail.com. Cool?
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so like I haven't worked in a restaurant, probably it's been about like 6 years. I started the mobile bartending back in 2012. I was working, and one of my customers was getting married, and they asked me like, hey, would you bartend a wedding, or my wedding type of thing? It's how it all started, you know? And I had no idea how to price anything out. And I was like, yeah. So I just basically went off of like, hey, this is what I typically make. This is a good night on a Friday, Saturday night. If you could match that or come close to it, then like, let's make it happen. Because at the end of the day, I started out with just a 6-foot folding table, my wine key, and my shaker.
Right.
Like that's what it was, you know? And then like we went over drink ideas, and of course they supplied everything at the time because I was just doing the service. But fast forward now, it's been a game changer, man. I've learned so much doing the mobile thing.
Well, before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about your history now. I also started, technically I started in the service industry as a maintenance guy at a McDonald's, but then my next job was being dishwasher at a corporate restaurant. I'm not going to say their name because I actually don't think they'd exist anymore, but I don't want to get sued anyway. But starting off washing dishes, that can what dishwasher is probably the hardest job in the restaurant industry, in my opinion, because
I agree with you.
Because washing dishes, you start your shift and it never ends. It feels like, until all of a sudden you turn around. Oh, we're closed.
Yeah. No, I remember walking in and at the time I was still in high school, so I'd come into work after school type of thing, right? And it's right before the dinner rush. The lunch rush was already over. The whole lunch crew was already gone. But I walk into like a wall of dishes, and it's like you said, never ending, you know, and you're back there for 4, 5, 6 hours, and then it's just nonstop. And then all of a sudden, like, you see that wall slowly but surely getting smaller and smaller. and you look at the time like, oh shit, we've been closed for like an hour and a half already. Like, and then it's just, you get that like second wind because now you're in a hurry to finish because like you do see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
You know?
And, yeah, you rush towards that light just because you're sweating to death, you're wet, you stink, and 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 even though the dishes are gone, you still have a ton of cleaning to do.
Oh yeah, man.
The thing that I absolutely hated when I was dishwasher was cleaning the floor mats. Yeah, I had to run those through the machine once.
Through the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God, and because they were wet, they were disgusting.
Everybody walked all over them, all the food that fell on the floor. I remember we have to get those the flat trays that we would use like for the silverware, and we'd roll up those mats and use like 2 or 3 of those guys, send them through the machine. And I don't know about you, but we had to do it. We had to put those through like 2 or 3 times. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. Like it had to go that many times. Like that was, well, like when I got trained, that's the manager was like, I remember like very specific, like these, not just one time, you got to do it 2 or 3 times, just 'cause all the grease, all the food, and you know what I mean? Just make sure that they're clean and ready for the next day.
Okay. Honestly, I was lazy about it. They went through once and that was the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely did cut corners too where we could, man. Especially, well, and I mean, in the very beginning, you're the new guy, right? And you're trying to do everything by the book. But I mean, once you get the hang of things, and you're like, all right, I can cut this corner here, and I mean, you knew where you could and couldn't cut corners, you know.
Sure. But also being a dishwasher, that was my first opportunity to realize what tipping was. Because, like I said, I'd never, at that point, I had never worked in a real restaurant. And all of a sudden, at the end of the night, some of the servers would be courteous enough to give me a couple bucks off of what they made that night. And I was just, how did this happen? Why are they giving me money? And then all of a sudden I started realizing, oh, if I go up, grab their bus tubs instead of them coming down with them or things like that, they like me more. So did you have that kind of same realization?
Yeah, a lot of times, especially on like a Saturday night, I would get the servers, and I worked with my dad too and my brothers, so like they were real big on it, and they would just come like, hey, I got this party of 5, they're just sitting there, everything's pre-bust, like you just literally got to go pull like water glasses, maybe a couple wine glasses and beer bottles, you know what I mean? Because they were ready to go, you know, their shift was basically over, the restaurant was closed. And I was going to be there anyway. So like, they would just come like, hey, I'll give you a couple extra bucks if you go bust that table for me. And, you know, I'd go clean it up, reset it, and, you know, make an extra $5 to $10 per table. Plus all the other servers that would do the same thing. But they'd be like, hey, there's a bus tub out there. So go grab it. Here's a couple extra bucks. You know what I mean? And that's where I got introduced to tipping. And I'm like, oh, like, so I'm already getting paid my hourly, right? Because that's all I knew of. I'm already getting paid to be here. You're going to pay me that couple extra bucks to go pick up some dishes outside? Yeah, of course. Like, and it was cool because it just gave me a break from that 7-hour shift, just being behind in the dish pit, you know, running water and running that hot machine all day or all night. You know what I mean? So it was cool just to get outside of the restaurant.
Just out of curiosity, did you ever get that feeling like I did? Because when you see that huge pile of dishes, and you forget to take a break or you forget to take your lunch just because you want to stay on top of all of that. Did you ever happen to you?
Yeah. And for me, it wasn't, it was, you just lose track of time sometimes, you know what I mean? Like you're like basically just head down, just because you know, you get in the groove, like with anything, you get in the zone and you just start knocking dishes out. And then like, for me, it was always like, I would always play like a little game, like, all right, I want to see how long I can get this stack down, right? I put a fat stack of plates, and all right, I'm going to see if I can get this all done in like 10 minutes. And by done, I meant like rinse off, do the machine on the other side, stack, and then walking on back to the cooks or wherever they needed to be put away. Yeah. You know, and then sometimes there would be 2 of us, and then be like, all right, cool, we're gonna get this stuff done. And I'll tell the guy, I was always the one rinsing off and running through the machine. And I would tell the guy behind me, like, hey, this machine is not stopping. Like, this machine is not going to stop, because you put those racks through, and I don't know on when your experience, but on mine at the restaurant where I started, there was this little lever at the end of on the outside where to come in. So if the racks hit that little lever, it's like an automatic stop for the machine to stop, so it just doesn't keep running.
Right.
So I would tell him, like, don't let it hit that thing. If that comes out, like he was literally grabbing racks out of the dishwasher and like stacking them on the counter, and then he would go like to like the salad station, was stacking stuff there, and he'd tell me like, Chavo, like, hey, calm down, like relax, like I'm getting backed up back here, and like me, I'm just trying to get these dishes done because on a busy night. And I worked in fine dining when I first started. So on a busy night, and cooks are calling for plates, and they need salad bowls, and they need soup bowls, and they need this, and like, you don't tell them no. You know what I mean? Like those orders are coming in. At the end of the day, everybody works as a team, and you got to keep that thing going, man. Because if not, like one little hiccup can throw the whole thing off. You know?
Right. So from dishwashing, where did you move from there?
From dishwashing, I started bussing. And it was a double-edged sword because I started with my dad, and because I was his son, right? I felt like I would get it a little harder, a little more grief, like his expectations were super high. You know what I mean? And
was this a family-owned restaurant?
No, it's just we just all worked there, and at the end of the day, like we were all family, all the coworkers. Like it was just a real tight-knit group of people that work together. Like literally would get together on weekends and hang out. But I just feel because he was my dad, there was more that he could get away with in telling me and how he directed me and to get stuff, you know what I mean, get things done. Versus I worked with just another server, they wouldn't talk to me the way that my dad would talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like I said, it was double-edged. I knew he meant business. I knew he wasn't messing around, which was cool. It helped me learn it and figure it out real fast. Versus working with the other guy that wasn't going to talk to me the way my dad talked to me, wasn't going to be as hard on me.
I get you. Well, I always figured that it's really important for your bar staff, or everybody that works in the restaurant, to get along and teamwork and all that sort of thing. And and it's like I told you before when I invited you onto the show. This is just a casual conversation, like we're all sitting at the diner late at night, or having something to eat, or sit in somebody's garage, or in your case, your garage, and having a drink before we go home, and just sit back and relax and swap stories. And that's kind of what turns everybody into a unique family. I think that's the way I want to put it.
No, yeah, we do the same thing. We'd get together after work and, hit up a Denny's or go to somebody's house and relax, and then just share like our war stories from the night, like, hey, did you see this table? Or like these customers were jerks, or I got stiffed here and I got stiffed there, but this guy made up for it because instead of at the time 15%, they're tipping 18 and 20%. So at the end of the day, it all works out. When you get stiffed one here, you get stiffed one there, but then you always have that good table that gives you a good toke, or even a little side toke at the end of the night on the way out.
Mm-hmm. So moving from dishwasher to busser. I remember when I worked at that corporate restaurant that the bussers sometimes would take the time to help me out on the dishes when I'm falling really way behind. But when did you first get your feet wet when it comes to actually interacting with the customers?
Bussing, when I was bussing, because at that time the bussers would put bread and water down as soon as a table came in. Like that was our job, bread and water. And then I got introduced to like taking drink orders very early on as well. Again, because of my dad and my brother. Whereas all the other bussers, they would try to, but like I said, just my dad had those high expectations. Like, hey, this is how it's got to be done. And I didn't always do the drink orders, but always bread and water and iced tea. I would ask if they wanted iced tea because that was what we were in charge of, refilling iced tea, waters, coffees. If they wanted more bread, get them more bread. And then, of course, start pulling appetizers, salad plates, and then dinner plates, and then dessert plates, and then at the end, wine glasses and whatever they're not using.
Right. Tell me a little bit how you learned about customer service, because in order to work in a regular restaurant to owning your own business, you had to learn a ton about customer service.
Oh, yeah. And so I've worked at a few different style of restaurants. So I was born in a fine dining restaurant. That's where I started. That was my first restaurant job. Then I worked at a Sizzler, and that was good on customer service because their dishwashers there are busters too, so they're constantly coming in and out. And even when I was at the fine dining restaurant, you know, you always get stopped by a table like, hey, can I get another drink? Or hey, I need another beer. Or hey, can you get my server? I want another glass of wine. And so at that point, it's like, okay, now you're interacting with these people, and you need to learn how to talk to them. You can't just be like, oh yeah, cool, I'll be right back with that, bro. Or you know what I mean? Like, yes, sir. Like, especially in fine dining, everything's formal. Sir, ma'am, thank you, you're welcome. Here you go. I'll be right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're always, you never want to tell a customer no in that situation. You always just, and then go find the server or the cocktail server. Like, hey, table so and so needs another Bud Light or whatever it is you're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times too, if the cocktail servers, or if we didn't have a cocktail server, like the server would say like, hey, all right, I'm going to send it. I need you to go pick it up. So then I'd run to the bar, wait for the ticket to come out, you know, and the bartender would give me the beer or whatever it was they got ordered. And then I'd run it to the table, you know, and then they thank you for it. And then there's always that little small interaction there where they're speaking to you. And then of course you got to acknowledge it. You know, you can't just set it down and walk away.
Sure.
You know, it's like, you're welcome, you know, is there, and then, you know, you follow, is there anything else, or would anybody else want something? But for me, at a very young age, I was always a people person.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt said that we would walk downtown and I would say hi to everybody that walked by us, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I've always been a people person, which is weird because like my kids they're real shy and standoffish. I'm like, yeah, they get that from their mom, you know?
But sometimes customer service can be really tough. I mean, you've got a good personality. You sound like that you can pretty much talk to anybody. But every once in a while, you hit that brick wall, that person that there's absolutely no way in hell that you can make them happy. And tell us some secrets on how you deal with that.
So it's just killing them with kindness, man. Just try not to let it get to you. And trust me, it's hard. I don't always do it. There's times where people, they'll get me, you know, and I'm just like, fuck, you know, there's just no winning. You're not going to win them all. But at the end of the day, all you can do is try. And now that I'm older and I've been doing this for a lot longer, it's just, you don't know what those people, what kind of day they're having. You know what I mean? Because it could all be just like they had a bad day and you're the scapegoat. You know what I mean? You're the one that's getting it taken out on.
Right.
And you just got to deal with it, and just you got to be thick-skinned, man. You got to be thick-skinned and just be able to take it, and just keep that smile on your face. Because at the end of the day, we're there to make tips, you know. And for any reason, they can stiff you. They don't need to have a reason to not tip you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? We need to give them every reason in the book to tip us. So if they come in with that bad attitude and you know you're not going to win them, just try. Just try, even, and then if even they leave just a buck, right? Then you won,
right?
You won because they were already having a bad day. You already went into that situation thinking or knowing that you were going to get stiffed. So to get a buck, I'm like, I'll take it,
right?
You know?
Yeah, I think it was you earlier this week. I posted on Instagram, the customer's bill comes to $24.50. They give you 25 and say, you know, keep the change. And your solution for that was I liked where you said, go ahead and bring the change back and hope that they, you know, throw a little bit more on there. I really loved that answer.
Yeah, and seeing that's now today in my wiser days, right? But if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, and this is true story. So I worked at a nightclub, and you know, a guy comes up and orders a Corona. It's $4.50, and same exact thing, gives me a $5. Keep the change, and I brought it back. Give him. I would always bring your change back. If it was like change like coins, you always got that back, even if you told me to keep it. Mm. This particular night, I was having a rough night. We're full blown nightclub session, and the guy just leaves the 50 cents right there. And I literally got it and I chucked it at him like, hey, you forgot your change. And I threw it at him.
We all have nights like that. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And as I did it, it was like, I fucked up. Uh-huh. Like I messed up right now. Like I'm going to get in trouble, but it embarrassed him so much. He turned around and gave me $2. You know what I mean? He was just so embarrassed because it was a crowded night. A lot of people, girls were around, you know what I mean? Mm. So it worked for me that day. Yeah. But to this day, like some of my old coworkers, like my Facebook memories will come up, and like one of my old coworkers will always comment on, like, Chavo, I'll never forget. She was the bar manager. She's like, I'll never forget this night. Yeah. Like you threw the guy's money back at him, and you got $2 out of it. Like, who does that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who throws money back at somebody to get a better tip?
Yeah.
I do, and it worked. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it worked for you that night, but
it did. But
I'm sure you've matured over time.
No, yeah. Now it's just I'll take it back. I'll leave it there. And when they're gone, if it's still there, cool. If it's not, whatever. It is what it is.
Mm.
At the end of the day, man, those 50 cents, they're gonna add up. I got a like a coin jar. Every time I get home with any kind of change, I throw that thing, and once it's full, I'll go cash it in. And $500 later, I mean, it's all coins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All bartenders have that special coin jar that they intend to fill up. I had one of those beer buckets, and you put the 6 beers in it and serve it to people.
Yeah,
I had one of those full, and it came up to about $600 one time. And what's your special coin jar?
It's an old. I don't remember if it was an olive jar or a cherry jar, but I don't know if it's an olive jar or a cherry jar, but it's a good sized jar. It originally was a glass one, and then through the moves and over the years, I think it may have broken or something like that. But now it's just a plastic jar. I still have the lid on it. So what I like to do is I'll tape it up, and I just have a little slit cut on top so I can just put coins in it. And once it's full, I'll cut the tape. And the reason I tape is just no temptation to grab a handful of change and like go wash the car or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Buy a couple burritos or something from the gas station. So yeah, it's just again, I don't know if it's cherry or olive jar, but it's a good plastic sized jar. And I got a buddy that would do it, fill one up. He used to use like those big water jugs, like from Alhambra or whatever.
Yeah.
He would fill that thing up, and every time he'd fill it up, he'd go to Hawaii. That was his Hawaii trip money, and he would fill it up in like a year or so, maybe even less. Like because he worked a couple different bars and stuff. He's a great bartender, so I mean, he'd always come home with change, and sometimes he would even cash in like $10 and just bring a $10 roll of quarters just to throw it in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I've had bartender friends that did the same thing in an attempt to save extra money. Take $10 just to throw in the coin bucket, whatever, and that was a good way for them to pretend money wasn't there until it was absolutely needed.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So anyway, we talked about your past enough. I really want to learn about your unique mobile bartending. So how did that get? You mentioned earlier in the show how that got started. Just a friend of yours asked you to bartend an event for them.
Yeah. They asked me to do an event for them. We did it, and I had such a good time. And I made really good tips, right? And I was just like, hey, maybe I can do this. And so, and I'm from the era of Craigslist, and so that's where I threw out a Craigslist ad. And then I remember I still talk to the people that I did I guess technically my second bar for. I have them as friends on Facebook and on Instagram. And I went out and did it was a birthday. No, it was a graduation celebration. I went out and did that here locally. And again, I just showed up with a 6-foot table, folding table, a little tablecloth, my wine key, and a shaker. And I did the thing, man. I was out there, had a blast, made a few bucks, and then just kept updating my Craigslist ad, every couple of weeks. And then slowly but surely, I mean, it didn't take off, but I would get events here and there. And then I was just learning how to price things, how to price my service fee. And at the end of the day, it basically came down to okay, this is what I make on a good Friday or Saturday night. I have to at least make that, if not more, and me, I've always been from day one, very transparent with my clients. And when they ask about pricing and they'll say well, how are you getting that price? I'll break it down to them. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm in business to make money, not to lose money. I've been doing this a long time, and very early on, I was taught to learn the value in yourself, and just going above and beyond. And that's where the name Unique came from. I'm not your typical dive bar bartender or your neighborhood bar and grill. And granted, I've worked at all these other places, but I think that's what kind of molded me into the bartender and the business person I am today, because I have all these little backgrounds. So yeah, I've done fine dining. Yeah, I've done dive bars. Yes, I've done Mexican restaurants. I've done neighborhood bar and grills, barbecue joint. You know what I mean? So I have all that stuff behind me, and I've learned to cater to each type of person, because everybody's different.
Mm.
Everybody wants different things, and they want different drinks, and they want you to perform differently. So I feel I can do that. And by me being able to do that, well, it comes with a price,
Right.
And like I tell them, like, oh, well, I saw, this so-and-so can do this for, a couple $100. Well, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in you get what you pay for, that's cool. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. If that's what you want to do, by all means, but this is what I have to offer. This is what I bring to the table. And I have no problem telling you that I can execute what you want 100%.
Sure.
Because I know I'll go above and beyond to meet your expectations, meet your needs.
Sure. Now, about the business of mobile bartending. Now, I'm sure you bring your own liquor, I'm assuming.
Actually, I don't. So I don't have a liquor license, just because in the state of California, the only people that can get a liquor license you need a brick and mortar.
Mm.
So because I'm mobile, the ABC, which is our alcohol beverage control, they would need to come out and inspect my brick and mortar, but I don't have one.
Right.
So I just provide service, and I have a mixer package.
Oh, okay.
So like, let's say you want to book me, and normally it's 4 to 5 drinks. So let's just say we have 4 drinks on there. I will bring all the mixers we need for those 4 drinks, and then I would provide the client with the shopping list of what liquor they need for me to make those drinks.
Okay. Oh, I get it. So you tell them, get me all this stuff if you want those particular drinks. And do they stick to the normals, like the Well stuff or the Jim Jack Jose, or do you get some really obscure liquors? Do they ever ask for anything?
No, yeah. For the most part, it's always the normal. Every now and again, I do get like an aunt or an uncle that'll come and bring me like a specialty bottle, and like, hey, this is for me only, like a VIP type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'll keep it behind the bar, and then it never fails, man. Somebody will see them, like, let's just say it's a bottle 1942, right? And an uncle comes up like, hey, let me get 2 shots of that 1942. Perfect, no problem. It's their bottle. I pour them 2 shots. Somebody sees that, like 30 minutes later, they're like, oh yeah, they sent me to come get some shots. And I'm real big on this, and I tell them, like, you know what, I can't. Like, that's they specifically told me only they're coming for that. Mm. Oh, well, he just set me up here. Okay, cool. Well, then go get them for me. And then they get mad at me, which I'm totally fine with. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to give this guy's bottle of 1942 away, and then he's going to come up and order some shots, and it's gone.
Right.
And then what am I going to do? Oh, well, so-and-so said, it's like, that's not bringing the bottle back. I mean, especially if it's a specialty bottle like that, like 1942 is not cheap, So, but for the most part, yeah, it's just vodka, rum, tequilas, some whiskey. But again, every now and again, I'll get a special bottle brought to me, and hey, this is only for the bride and groom, or hey, this is only for me, type of thing,
Sure. Now you mentioned mixers. I'm looking at your Instagram right now. You have what looks like your very own bottles of mix.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
All right. So yeah, so I've been making a michelada mix, which is a red beer mix for years. For years, I've been doing that. So once COVID hit, like, everything kind of came to a halt, right? And us in the business, like, we're not doing any kind of events at all. So I just was thinking, I was like, well, I mean, I could only sell so many michelada mixes. You can only have so many of those things. You either get full of them, or you get tired of them, or you just don't want to drink. Like, you have to be in a mood for one, So I was like, what can I do, or what can I make? What other mixes can I come up with? So I started doing margarita mixes, lemonade mixes. So that's what you see there. So I have peach, strawberry, mango margarita mix, I have a Mexican candy mix. I have my regular traditional michelada, a mango michelada, and then I've been playing with some stuff to launch here in spring and summer. So like, I want to do I'm going to do some like Mai Tai mixes, mojito mixes, just to keep it different. And it was just all about pivoting, right? Like, yeah, it sucks that this coronavirus came and hit us, but at the end of the day, we can't let it stop us. We gotta learn to adapt and keep going, because people, what I've noticed is people are just getting tired of being home and not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think this year is gonna be busy, man. This year, event bartending is gonna be crazy this year.
Well, I kudos to you for using your time during the COVID to do something, anything at all. Because I mean, it's really tempted during COVID when you have no work to just sit at home and rewatch Game of Thrones again. Let's just say it's really tempting just to keep, sit and watch TV, or because you really can't go anywhere, you really can't do anything. But kudos to you for developing your own mixers, and the bottles.
Thank you.
Bottles look great. I love the label. Honestly.
Thank you.
Thank
you. That label, one of my buddies. So I worked with this guy back a few years ago. I used to work for AT&T in the retail sales, selling cell phones, and he does a lot of digital stuff, and he's been a real big supporter of mine. And one day he hit me up and he goes, "Hey, send me a picture of yourself." And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, what do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, grab your shaker, like pretend you're shaking it, and just like have your son or your daughter or your wife, somebody, have them take a picture and send it to me." And I just thought, I was like, "Bro, if I didn't know you, like, I would think this is fucking weird. Like, you just asked me for a picture." So whatever. I sent it to him, and I swear, not 10 minutes later, he sends me that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he made that label like just real quick, and then I reached out. So I do have a real job, a 9 to 5. I work at a screen printing and embroidery shop. So I reached out to one of our designers there about getting some stickers made, and he got me in contact with some people, and yeah, so I made those stickers. And those bottles I've gone through like 3 different styles of bottles. At first, I was going to like the local Smart and Final and just picking up like those are 32 ounces, and so I was just buying some 32-ounce containers with the lids. And before that label, I had my wife was making them for me at her job, and they're just literally like little labels you would put like on an envelope that she would type like her business name and address on.
Sure, you got to start somewhere.
She printed my logo on there and it had my name and my number, and they were just little white stickers, and that's how I was doing it. And then I got on Amazon, ordered some like long neck bottles that looked like a regular bottle of vodka type of thing, and those were cool. They were just not like stackable or real friendly and putting it in your fridge or anything,
Mm-hmm.
Like they took up too much space. So we were looking around for some more, and that's where I found those bottles. And I just felt they're square. You can stack them in your cooler easily. If you need to lay them down, you can lay them down. They're not going to roll around anywhere. They had the little perforated edges, so once you screw the top on, they're sealed. Mm-hmm. The other bottles before this, I had that heat shrink plastic, and it was just such a nightmare, man, just trying to get that stuff done and time consuming. I was burning my hand I was using my daughter's blow dryer, trying to shrink those little plastic things around the neck. And so these have worked out really good for me. They're a little more, but at the end of the day, I've done all my work, my research, and what it cost me to make it, what I'm selling it for. So I'm still making a little bit of profit. So at the end of the day, if we're in the green, we're doing good,
Sure. Now this is something you can bring to your events with you. You don't, and maybe tack on an extra $1 or $2 to your service price.
Exactly. So yeah, I'll with those, I'll do a 64 ounce. If they want me to bring a mix, I won't bring the 32s. I'll bring 64s, 64 ounces, and I charge $10 a bottle. So whatever mix they want, I'll do $10 a bottle. And I'm giving them a deal or more of a break on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm making my money by them booking my service, and this is just like a little extra for them. If they want it, they can have it. If not, then I have no problem making a margarita from scratch or whatever,
Do you have your own Bloody Mary mix?
So my Michelada mix does dub as a really good Bloody Mary.
Really?
Yeah.
without giving away the whole entire recipe, what makes your, because everybody two drinks that bartenders where every bartender makes it different is a martini and Bloody Mary. They're basically like fingerprints for the bartender. Now, what makes your Bloody Mary or I'm sorry, Michelada?
Yeah, no, it's a Bloody Mary too, man. It's all good.
What makes yours unique?
So I used to hate making these things. Hated it with a passion, especially on Sundays working a brunch. And like for years, I hated working Sundays just because I knew I was going to be making a shitload of Bloody Marys. And then one day I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to perfect this thing. And I literally told myself, I'm going to make this drink my bitch. Like I'm going to do it. And that's where it started. I just started messing with things. And like, I still did them the way we were supposed to at work, right? For the business, for the restaurant, I did theirs their way, but I kind of took that and added my own little thing to it. So I use celery salt and lemon pepper.
Oh, okay.
And then I use 2 different steak sauces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Instead of just the what everybody, just a little bit of Worcestershire, you use 2 different and get extra flavor out of it.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And then it's you have to get when you're making a big, like batching it, like you have the quantities, the amount of each spice or sauce or whatever you're putting, like it has to be on point, man. There was a lot of trial and error when I started making these things like to sell, because I wasn't just gonna make a half-ass Bloody Mary mix or a half-ass Michelada mix. Like I want people to come back. I don't want them to buy one and like, it's whatever, and just I didn't want them to settle. You know what I mean? So yeah, it took me a lot of trial and error, not only getting the recipe down, but then getting the portions of how much of each thing that I need to. Because when I make them in 64-ounce batches at a time. Yeah. So like I was like, okay, I'm not just making one. I'm not behind the bar. It's a dash of this, a dash of that, a couple of drops of this. Like it's on a bigger scale. So I'm gonna need like 5 dashes of this or 10 dashes of that. You know what I mean?
And that's when your grade school math teachers screaming in your head, fractions will be important later in life.
Right. No, exactly. And like I said, I've been making the Michelada thing. I've been doing that thing for a long time. So that recipe has never changed in like the 15, 20 years that I've been making it, And so my son, it's funny because he's 11 now. And he would always watch me make them. And now he makes my Michelada mix. I could be at work and I'll get an order and I'll call him or I'll text him or whatever. And like, hey, I need 2 bottles. And for the longest time, he was doing them no problem. And then my wife kind of planted the seed in his ears, like, "Hey, you should see if your dad will pay you." So now I pay him. I pay him $2 for every bottle he makes. Yeah. I'll either cash him out at the end of the week, or if he wants, I'll cash him out at the end of the month.
How old's your son?
Like 11.
Oh, okay, cool, good age.
So every bottle he makes, he'll go to the calendar and he'll just put a little tally marks at the end of the month. If whatever tally marks he's got, that's what he's getting paid. And I told him, I was helping him out at first, like, hey, you made me one, you didn't put it down. So now it's to the point like, hey, if you don't mark it, I'm not paying you. Yeah. It's like you go to work, you clock in, you clock out. You want to get paid, you're gonna clock in. You want to get paid, you got to put that tally mark down. Yeah. So yeah, he helps out a lot with those mixes.
At the same time, you're teaching your son a good work ethic, like your father taught you.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. When I noticed on your Facebook page that you had your own mixer and you have what looks like some really groovy stuff that has your logo on it and all that stuff. Looks like you've built up a pretty good business, and that it's impressive for mobile bartending. Thank you, man. As being a business like that. Okay, we're going to take a short break right now to introduce our musical guest. But first, I want to remind all of you, if you want to follow Hey Bartender Podcast, all you have to do is go on to Instagram or Facebook. Search out Hey Bartender Podcast, all one word, and you can check out when the new shows are coming out or when I'm feeling like I'm being clever with a new meme. Hey, it happens sometimes. So anyway, I want to introduce this week's musical guest. I like to refer to them as my house band because I use them for my theme song for the show every episode. And I'm bringing them on right now because they have just come out with a new single available on bandcamp.com called Taking Back Monday Night. So right now, here is Lara Hope and the Arctones with their new single, Taking Back Monday Night. Once again, that was Lara Hope and the Arctones with Taking Back Monday Night. If you want to find out more about Lara Hope and the Arctones, just follow them on Facebook or Instagram. Search them out, Lara Hope and the Arctones. If you want to hear more of their music, which is awesome, I must tell you, I'm not being biased here. Get on bandcamp.com, go check out their music, and you can on bandcamp.com you can find their website, you can find out what they're doing, where they're doing it. And I believe that song, Taking Back Monday Night, it became like a theme song for their live stream that they do. So follow them on Facebook to find out when they do their live streams from their particular location, probably their house or something like that, to play for everybody because of this whole COVID epidemic. And, and support Lara Hope and the Arctones. Send them an email, tell them how much you love them. And don't forget to mention that you heard about him through Hey Bartender podcast. And now we get back to the interview with Chavo Quintana. Now, without embarrassing anybody, we can totally edit this part of the show out later. But without embarrassing anybody, tell me what a normal party that you would bartend for, and maybe something a little abnormal if you can get away with it.
Yeah, so typically I've been doing a lot of weddings. I've gotten kind of into like that wedding scene. So it's a lot of weddings, venues, and it's your typical wedding. You show up. I usually get there a good hour and a half beforehand, get my bar set up, and it's fun. I love it. It's to me it's normal because it's what I've been doing. In the beginning, it was just a lot of like little backyard parties and, little smaller 30, 40, maybe 50. The biggest event I did was last year. We did a celebration of life, and it was about 500 people.
Wow. And you bartended that by yourself?
No. I had I have a pretty good team, man. I have my brother that's helped me out pretty much from day one. My stepson, my cousin, and I had another friend out there with us. So there was a total of 5 of us. So 4 bartenders and a bar back. Oh, wow.
Yeah, scared me there for a second. You just 500 people by yourself?
I was like, yeah, that line never ended, man. It reminded me of the dish room, just never ending dishes. No, yeah, and that's what I've been trying to get into is booking bigger events, just to because I know I can do it. I know I can handle it. So that's more the normal, abstract or different or. Well, okay. So 2 years ago, I did this little Christmas party. It was a little house party, and it was I felt like it was almost like a lingerie party, but it was a Christmas party. But like everybody's like little 90s. The girls were 90s. The guys came out in robes. One guy came out in a robe, and like halfway through it, he just drops his robe, and he's just wearing like a little banana hammock, man, and just walking around like nothing, and he comes up to the bar and he's like, hey, can I get a drink? Puts his hands on his waist and he's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, bro, like, yeah, like, oh, I see you got your own stir stick, huh?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Okay. A little uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a little weird. It threw me for a loop, but I feel like I'm pretty good under pressure. I'm pretty witty. You know what I mean? I really wanted to say like, oh, I see you brought the cocktail weenies, you know what I mean? But I went the other way instead, like, because I didn't know how that was gonna. It was just weird, man. It just threw me off guard, but I just had to keep it going, you know what I mean? But it was just, and like I said, this was supposedly a Christmas party,
sure,
you know what I mean? But everybody, I was just like, wait, what kind of party am I at
now? That also brings another question into my head. If you're in a party, and things start happening that you don't necessarily agree with or are completely uncomfortable with having, do you have something in your contract or your agreement with the customer? If you see something weird going on, you get to bail?
You know what? No, I've never really been in that sort of situation. The only really big thing that like I go over with them, like in case of me having to bail, is underage drinking or somebody that doesn't have an ID type of thing. You know?
Yeah, that in private parties that can happen a lot.
Yeah, and it's happened, and so I from the initial meetup with my client, I always that's like the biggest thing that I emphasize on. I just let them know like, hey, I will card people. I'm not going to card everybody. I go, but if I feel somebody's like underage or whatever, I will card them, and if they don't have their ID, they're not getting a drink. I don't care if they're 30 years old. You know what I mean? They don't have their ID. California state law says I can't serve them. So if I do see somebody that I carded with a drink and they didn't have their ID, or if they're underage or whatnot, I'll go pull the drink. I always ask for a contact person. Like, who can I come in contact if this situation happens? And this is just my experience from working in like the nightclub scene is you go and talk to somebody, they don't know me from Adam, right? So they're going to be more comfortable talking to the aunt or the uncle, you know? So that's why I ask for a contact person. So I'll go pull the drink, and if it happens again, no questions asked, I'm shutting it down and I'm out. Right. You know, and that's stated in my contract. And I always tell the people too, like, because you get these kids like, hey, man, come on, just one. I'll be 21 next month. And, you know, and I tell them, I go, hey, listen, I go, you don't want to be that guy. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, they're going to, in 5 years, somebody's going to ask about this wedding. And then they're going to say, oh, yeah, that was the day that John had the bar shut down because he was underage drinking. Like, they're going to remember this wedding because you fucked it up. You know what I mean? We as people tend to always remember the bad things. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we'll remember the bad things first, and then we're like, oh, yeah, but it was such a great wedding, and, you know, we had da-da-da. But they're going to remember you. Like, you don't want to be that guy, bro. Like, don't make me put you that guy. You know what I mean? Just don't drink. Like, it's just that simple. Like, don't drink. You can't drink. I can't serve you. Right. You know?
Yeah, I remember.
So that's just one of the biggest things there.
Yeah, I remember stories from I was in high school. Girl that we all knew was celebrating her quinceañera. And I didn't go to the thing. I don't even think I was invited, but some of my friends did go to that thing, and they were talking about that the bartender was pretty much serving everybody, and it didn't matter who they
yeah.
were. And I was just like, wow, really? And they were there, and they pretty much, I didn't really look down on them or anything like that for it. But they were, I remember one of my friends just basically telling me tequila's bad, very bad, because he had a bad experience with it. But yeah, that, keeping tabs on that sort of thing in a, banquet type of situation, that can be really tough.
Yeah.
Because you want to stay in good with your customer, and is no customer, I'm sure, has any customer ever put you in a bad place? Just go ahead, give them one, or
They've tried. I'm okay with telling people no.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's your livelihood that's on the line.
No, that and I mean I have way too much on the line.
Yeah.
You know, like I have way too much to lose just to give this kid a drink that he just wants to drink and have fun with everybody else. And it's truly not worth it to me. And I've learned just to it's okay to say no. And even when people book me and they inquire, right, and oh, you're a little out of my budget, I'm sorry. I wish there was something we can do. At the end of the day, I can't bartend every single one. You know what I mean? There's no way possible that I even if I had a team of 20 people, there's no way I can do every single one. And I have not a lot, but I mean I have a few other bartender friends, mobile bartenders, and I mean I'll refer them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, talk to them, because I don't know what they charged. I don't know if they charge the same as me. They charge more than me. But at the end of the day, I have no problem referring another mobile bar service, just because I know I can't do them all. And I have no problem helping other people out too. Like last weekend, I helped out a buddy at one of his gigs, and then I've helped out a couple other buddies. And this weekend, I'm helping out the same buddy this weekend tomorrow for another gig. So, and they'll ask me like, hey, do you have this date booked? And I tell them, hey, book it. I'll come work for you. Like, why? My thing is, I'm real big on customer service. So like, why put the client through that and try to have them go talk to somebody else? If you can book it, if you're that close to booking it, book it. I'll come and work for you, man. Just let me know what I need to do. Let me know what time it starts. What do I need to bring? If I need to bring my whole setup, I'll come bring it all. If you have everything in there and I just need to show up, I'll show up. Just book it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just do it. You have them literally in the palm of your hand. They're right there. Just close the deal. Tell me what time I need to be where, and I'll show up.
Yeah, that's cool. Everybody helps out each other. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, and seeing the thing.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, the thing is like when I first started, I wish there was somebody there helping me like that and showing me. You know what I mean? But there wasn't, and I think now there's a lot more like this. The mobile bar industry is picking up. And then especially with COVID, a lot of bartenders are out of work, so they're trying to pivot too. You know what I mean? And so I have no problem trying to help out and spread whatever knowledge I can, even if it's just like your juice bottles, right? You can go to a restaurant store and pick up those little white juice bottles that you use to pour your cranberry and OJ in, right? Mm-hmm. When I first started, I was using a sweet and sour bottle. I would soak it in hot water, peel the label off, get some little Goo Gone, clean it up, and I was using those for my juice bottles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think of stuff like that. They're just like, oh, I need to go buy this. No, you don't. You have sweet and sour. When you run out of the sweet and sour, don't throw it away. Wash it, clean it. There's your orange juice bottle. There's your pineapple juice bottle. There's your cranberry juice bottle. You know what I mean? Like those little things, I wish somebody would have taught me that, because I was tossing that stuff and I had to go buy stuff. I had to go buy things that if I knew the stuff I know now, then there's little loopholes. You know what I mean? There's little life hacks, I guess you can call them.
Mm. But it doesn't sound like that. You're like I've talked about before. When I'm in the small town that I used to bartend in, all of us bartenders were really never in competition with each other. There was always that party line that we jumped on and said, "Hey, this dude's drunk. Watch out for him." Or we'd all come from our respective bars to the local Denny's and sit at a big round table, swap stories. It doesn't sound like that you're really in competition with the other mobile bartending companies.
No, see, and that's what I tell people too, because like I'll get a little like DM or Facebook messengers like, oh, there's some new competition. I'm like, well, no, they're not competition. They're friends, man. Like we're all in this together. We're all after the same goal. And like I said, there's no way I could do every single one of them. There's plenty of pie for us to eat, for everybody to eat. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And if I can help somebody that's just starting out, just the smallest amount, you know what I mean, with anything, I'm okay with that. You know?
Sure.
I have no problem. Like if let's say you're brand new to this and you wanted to start up a business today, I would literally have you come over, we talk, and I would break it down like, hey, this is how I do it. This is what I charge. This is why I charge this. This is how come I can charge this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I have no problem. Just like I said earlier, I'm transparent with my clients, and I have no problem being transparent with any other mobile bartender that needs help. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see people as competition like that. Like, right. Everybody, let's just get out there and make this money together. Let's help each other, you know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And then, in the long run, it just becomes, I can't do it, but I can, there's another guy. I'll see if he can do it. And you help each other
absolutely.
out. That's totally cool.
And that's what I do. I'll reach out. I'm like, hey, I got a client, like, and this is how I lead it off. I'll reach out to my buddies and I'm like, hey, I got a potential client. I'm booked, but they're looking for this date. Mm. And they'll either respond yes or no. And then if they say yes, then I pass on their contact info to the client and, you know, go from there. Or if they tell me, hey, you book it and I'll come help you, then I'll book it. And you know what I mean? Mm. But I don't want to book it and then be worried about having the help to run that bar. Because if I'm already booked somewhere else, you know what I mean? So I always just double check. If somebody is willing to work it for me, I'll book it and, you know, I'll pay them accordingly. I have no problem with that, you know?
Sure. And yeah, that's really cool that everybody can get along like that. Because there's really no need for competition when it comes to bartending. But
nah. And like, I wish there was like a cool little like mobile bar community within us, like locals, right? So that way we can all kind of talk and just so we're all on the same page, like a little bartender society type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just so we know we're all on the same page. We're all setting up ourselves for success, and we're encouraging each other and sharing those little nuggets with each other, man. You know, like there's nothing wrong with sharing some knowledge, man. Like if like I said, man, if I can help you out in the smallest way possible, I'm totally happy with that. But at the same time, I have no problem helping you out in a big way if I can too.
Sure.
You know?
Okay, so 2020, obviously it was tough on everybody. I'm sure it was tough on you. You're unable to book gigs or anything like that. But like I said, I greatly admire you for being able to start your own mixer business. Do you have plans for the future on that?
Yeah, so I would like to try to get into like stores. And with this 2020 COVID thing, like there's a lot of people that are doing like Michelada mixes and other type of mixers. And there's this stuff, I don't know if how it is out there, but there's this stuff that's, it's called rim dip or rim paste. People put it like on their beers, their cans, or their glasses.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a reddish color they use. It's called chamoy, which is like a plum paste. It's a Mexican candy type of thing. So there's a lot of people that are doing this stuff, and you're starting to see it more and more in like liquor stores, gas stations. I started seeing it at one of the big box stores out here too. And so like, I was like, dude, that would be cool. That would be cool to be in a store, you know, just so for whatever reason, if somebody tries to place an order with me and let's just say I'm at an event and obviously I can't make anything while I'm at an event. Hey, well, they can go run to the local gas station and pick up a bottle now. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And not have to wait for me to mix it for them. So that's always been like a little goal of mine to try to do. But at the same time, it's just like, all right, well, because I do have my regular job right now. So I feel like I'm not like 100% invested in the business. I mean, I'm staying busy. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm still out doing stuff and booking events. I'm still selling mixes on the weekends or even during the week, and everything's made to order. So like, I just don't want to get too busy where that's all I'm doing is just making mixes. I don't want to lose focus of the event bartending part of it.
Sure. Yeah. I totally get that. So anyway, we're coming up to the end of the show here. Thank you so much for taking some time out to be on my show. Great talking to you.
Thank you for having me, man. This is a blast.
Yeah. Why don't you give people your contact information? Let people know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so my name is Chavo Quintana. I am with Unique Mobile Bartending. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Unique Mobile Bartending. And shoot me an email if you have any questions at uniquemobilebartending@gmail.com.
All right, so that is the end of today's show of Hey Bartender Podcast. Thank you so much, Chavo Quintana, for being on the show. It is last call for alcohol, people. Like I said, thank you, Chavo, for taking some time out and telling us about your history and your future plans for, and, you know, it's like I told the guy, it's inspiring. Some of you guys are able to, instead of sitting wallowing around in pity or whatever, rewatching Game of Thrones or something like that, you're actually doing something with your life and making something for a business and actually seeing possible success out of it. I'm really impressed with you guys that are doing that sort of thing right now. So, so thank you, Chavo, for being on the show. Also, Lara Hope and the Arctones, I love you guys. Thank you so much for letting me use your new song on the show. Remember, if you want to go check out Lara Hope and the Arctones, get on bandcamp.com. You can listen to all their music. They're also available on iTunes. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on YouTube. And they have a website, larahope.net, I think it's called. Yep, I was right. Cool. Go check out their music. They're just awesome people, and I love talking with them, and because they're so generous with their music and their time. So anyway, remember, you can follow Hey Bartender Podcast on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook, both Hey Bartender Podcast, and I do have a TikTok channel. It'll just let you know when the new episodes are coming out. And don't forget to visit www.heybartenderpodcast.com and pick yourself up a Hey Bartender Podcast t-shirt. They're available for $15 right now. Go get yours now. And thank you so much for all you listeners out there listening to Hey Bartender Podcast, and thank you so much for the support. Keep listening to Hey Bartender Podcast for the next upcoming weeks, because I've got some pretty big things coming up, or at least big to me. I got some stuff coming up that's going to be pretty cool, so you'll want to listen in for that. So, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to wish you all lots of love, lots of sex, lots of happiness, and don't take any shit from anyone. Good night.
What do you mean it's last call? I just got here!